I am happy that today we have a Chamber of Commerce that we can say is fit for purpose and working with the government, with all the sectors, to project the right image of our country. I want to say congratulations to the Chamber. You are doing a good job. Secondly, I agree with you 100% that the Chamber can work with the government to organize the bottom. And what I have seen this morning is actually a testimony and a confirmation that indeed, with the Chamber, we can leverage on your network to be able to organize the bottom of the pyramid, to get the many innovators, the many creators, the many entrepreneurs, the majority of the 4 million micro enterprises, to get to a level where they can help us create jobs and they can help us create wealth. I have listened very carefully to Magdalene, to Trevor, who spoke earlier, to Eugene, who spoke earlier, and they present and they represent our future. The one asset that we have in Kenya, a very rare asset, is our human capital. We may not have gold, we may not have silver and all the other things, but we have the people of Kenya, and that is the asset that we have. And that is the asset that is going to turn around our nation. And I am happy that we are working together to sharpen, to model, and to shape the human capital that we have through training, through education. And I am very confident that going into the future, from all our learning institutions, training institutions, we should be able to build the human capital that is going to make the difference in our country. That is already it is making. To my great exporter here, the constraint that has been around our human capital and especially our micro and medium enterprises has been the concept of financing, affordable financing. I have listened to the banks who spoke to us here, great people from Equity to APSA to DTP here. I really want to persuade our financial institutions, yes, to be flexible in how they lend their finances, but also to consider the aspect of cost. What is the cost of that financing? I would have been very happy to hear Equity Bank say, we're going to lend to SMEs on a single-digit interest rate. And I really want to challenge our financial institutions with tremendous respect that it is possible and it is time that we inspired our micro and small enterprises by ensuring they have access to affordable credit. The government of Kenya is going to work with you as we fashion the Hustler Fund. I want to promise the country that the Hustler Fund is going to be on a single-digit interest rate, and progressively for the smaller enterprises, we will begin with just a simple fee without interest, because we want to fire the bottom of the pyramid. That is where the engine of our economy is. I am very confident that employment is going to be ready and available if we can ensure that we spread technology, we have financing, And that is why we talked about the superhighway. The superhighway is supposed to do two things: to make sure that the country is connected. And I'm happy again to announce here that the real last mile in technology is the gadget. And already we are working with our telcos, our telecommunication sector, so that we can have a smartphone that is going to be less than 5,000 shillings. A smartphone that can do everything that you want. A smartphone that can make sure, today the cheapest smartphone is 10,000, maybe 15,000. We want to see whether we can get it to $30 or $40. And I want to promise the country that in the next 8 to 12 months, we will have the cheapest smartphone in Africa, manufactured in Kenya. And finally, the concept of the superhighway is to also make it cost-effective to trade on and to work on the digital space. And again, let me use this forum to say we have about 15% of government services on the digital platform. If you look at our manifesto, we said we are going to move 80% of all government services on the digital platform. Again, let me announce here that we are working on it, and by God's grace, between 6 and 12 months, we will have moved 90% of all government services onto the digital platform and ensure that from the comfort of your home, you can work with the government. You can get your licenses, government service online without having to travel to any office, without having to go to any park. And again, to use the digital platform to also collect our taxes. So, good people listening to each and every one of you here, the government of Kenya stands ready and available to work with you. And I have heard what my good brother here has said. I thought I have done a long introduction. Let me just say, answer your question.
Yes.
On the matter of climate change, and that's why we are saying technology is going to give us the opportunity to be able to deal with matters climate change. I'm going to encourage my brother from the Jua Kali that we are going to look at them, not just doing this, the tractor that uses renewable energy. We also want to see whether we can move all our border guys onto clean energy platform. There is absolutely no reason why we should not begin to walk the journey to e-mobility. All our vehicles, all our border guys should be on e-mobility. We should be able to convert all the borders we have so that they are electric and they can use renewable energy, solar, they can use wind energy to be able to charge, and we can progressively eliminate fossil fuels. And that is how the Jua Kali Texas is going to come on board. Let me first speak to the issue raised by Jua Kali. You talked about political goodwill. So, me sitting here, I am a bundle of political goodwill. So at least one issue is out of the way. The second issue is the common user facility, which you have talked about. And you are so right. When we are doing the housing, for example, we said we are going to connect our Jua Kali sector to our TVET institutions, because in TVET we have a lot of equipment. We spend almost 25-30 billion shillings to equip our TVETs. And we are now saying there must be a working formula between the Juakali and our TVETs so that the Juakali can leverage on the huge resources and equipment that we have in our Juakali to professionalize their work. But if you look at our manifesto, we have said that we are going to work with the Juakali, link them up to our TVET institutions, and create a common user facility where we have the most modern of equipments to be shared by different people in the Juakali sector so that we can elevate the quality and the specifications of the products that they produce. So you are spot on, and I want to confirm to you that is a plan we intend to implement. And it's going to cover the textile sector, the leather sector, the wood sector, the metal sector. All those sectors will be covered in our common user facility that we are going to equip, either in every county to begin with, then we will move to the sub-county, and then we will move to the Juakali sheds, which can be shared by different Juakali players because it's expensive for one person to buy. But once we put a common user facility under the management of the Juakali, they can share in the common user facility for all the equipment that they need to be able to elevate the quality of their products to the correct level. Yesterday, we not only unlocked matters to do with travel, we also unlocked and eliminated barriers. Number one, we've had a 10-year ban on our meat products accessing the South African market. We have committed ourselves, and yesterday in the evening we got a brief from the ministers concerned, but by December this year, the ban will be lifted so that our products can access the South African market. We cannot sell our tea to South Africa. We have a challenge selling our pineapples. We have a challenge selling our avocados, as was mentioned by this young man. The issue was that we are operating on different phytosanitary requirements. We have said we are going to harmonize our phytosanitary regulations so that by January we can be able to access the South African market as they access our market. That way we can begin to bring down the difference in the trade levels between our two countries. As was said, they are selling to our country $650 million US. We are selling only $40 million to the South African market. And yet, the primary or the premium products that we'll be selling to South Africa have barriers. One of them is tea, and I persuaded the President of South Africa that by January, February next year, we should be able to export our tea to South Africa. And I do that for all the other countries, including our neighbors, and I want to persuade all of us here, whether you are in fintech, whether you are in agro-processing, whether you are in the Juakali sector, we must focus our market beyond Kenya. And that is why we should leverage on the East African community, and more importantly, we should leverage on the infrastructure given to us by the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Africa, ladies and gentlemen, is our market for our tea, for our coffee, for our milk, for our fintech, for all the products that produce. We must raise our horizon to the 1.2 billion people in the African continent. And we must target the 2.7 trillion GDP and make some of it Kenyan GDP. And I am ready, I am willing, and the government of Kenya is going to work with each and every one of you in your sectors so that we can scale up. I like the words of Magdalene. She said, her enterprise is scalable and her enterprise can be expanded. You know, I really like that. and that should be the mindset that we have as Kenyans.
Thank you, sir.